What if you could get a sneak peek into the future of AI? Not like decades from now, but just next year. Well, AI expert Andrej Karpathy did this really fascinating thought experiment. He wrote a review of the biggest AI breakthroughs of 2025 as if the year had already happened. So let's dive into this speculative future and see what he thinks is coming.
Right out of the gate, Karpathy makes a super important point. The story of his 2025 isn't about AI just getting a little faster or a bit more accurate. No, it's about the entire game changing. We're talking massive, fundamental shifts in how these models think, how they work, and how they fit into our lives.
So, our first stop is the biggest change of all. It's a revolution in the mind of the machine itself. We're going to explore how AI, in this future, finally starts to learn what you could call genuine reasoning. Now, the key to this whole thing is a new training technique Karpathy calls RLVR. You see, instead of just learning from slow, kind of subjective human feedback, these models are trained for way, way longer in environments where the answer is provably right or wrong. So just imagine an AI spending thousands and thousands of hours just solving math puzzles or coding challenges, getting instant feedback every single time, and slowly developing real problem-solving strategies all on its own.
Okay, so why is this such a big deal? Well, it's because RLVR is what allows an AI to move beyond just predicting the next word in a sentence, which is what they've always done. It learns to actually break down problems, try out different solutions, and even go back and correct itself when it makes a mistake. This is the huge leap from just mimicking intelligence to actually demonstrating it. What's really cool here is the metaphor Karpathy uses to help us wrap our heads around this new kind of intelligence. He says we aren't building animals, creatures like us, with a brain shaped by millions of years of evolution. No, he says we're summoning ghosts, a totally different form of mind, one born from data and algorithms, and it comes with its own very unique strengths and weaknesses. And this chart illustrates that difference perfectly. Human intelligence, it tends to be a pretty smooth, consistent curve. We're generally okay at a lot of things. But an AI's intelligence is jagged. A model might be an absolute super genius at solving complex physics, but then it could be tricked by a simple question a 5-year-old could see right through. It's this bizarre mix of incredible brilliance and, honestly, shocking gullibility.
All right, so let's move on. We've got this new, jaggedly intelligent ghost. Now let's see what happens when it leaves the research lab and becomes a real partner in our day-to-day work. In Karpathy's 2025, we're not just talking to a generic chatbot anymore. Instead, we're seeing the rise of these specialized apps, what he calls the Cursor for X playbook. Think of these apps as a smart manager for the AI. They do all the boring work of gathering the right info, they coordinate different AI tasks, and they give you this perfectly tailored interface. It basically turns a general-purpose AI into a specialized co-pilot for a doctor or a lawyer or a coder. Then comes the next massive leap. Instead of you going to an AI website, the AI comes to you. Karpathy pictures a tool called Claude Code, which would be a powerful AI agent that runs right on your own computer. This is a total game changer. It's like a persistent ghost living in your machine with access to your files, your context, ready to help you solve really complex problems over days or even weeks. Okay, so now we have an AI that can reason and it can live on our computers. So what can we actually do with it? Well, this brings us to our final section, the wild new creative frontier this technology unlocks. Let me just start with a kind of mind-bending question. What if programming was as easy as just describing what you wanted? This is the core idea behind what Karpathy calls vibe coding. The impact here is just profound. All of a sudden, anyone can build software, not just expert programmers. This makes code feel almost free and disposable. You could just create a custom tool for some one-off task in a few minutes and then just throw it away. This doesn't just open up creation to more people, it could trigger a huge economic shift. I mean, imagine scientists or artists building their own custom software without needing a whole team of developers. It completely reshapes who gets to create. And finally, there's this concept called the Nano Banana. For years, talking to an AI has been like using a 1980s computer. You type text, it gives you text back. But we're visual creatures, right? So the next step is for AIs to respond not just with words, but with rich graphical interfaces, generating images, charts, and even fully interactive little mini-apps, all on the fly. So after all of these incredible changes, AI reasoning, personal agents, vibe coding, you'd probably think we'd have reached the peak.
But Karpathy's biggest point is that all of this, it's just the beginning of a whole new era. In his view, everything we've just talked about, all these world-changing advancements, they represent only about 10% of the total potential of this technology. We have only just begun to scratch the surface. And that leaves us with the final, and honestly the most electrifying question. If a future with personal AI ghosts, vibe coding, and reasoning machines is only the first 10%, what on earth is the other 90% going to look like?